Welcome, everybody, to Running Strong Mind Body Connection podcast. I'm super excited to have you on this next show. Today, I have a wonderful guest, Jasmine Rice, and her story is going to be a fun thing for us all to jump into because she went from being a non runner, surgery, to now being a marathoner. And I'm just inspired by this whole journey that she's going to share with us today. So, Jasmine, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Super glad, super excited to have you here. So, you talked about not being a runner, and then what, and that journey to there. So, what happened in that? What transformed in your life to be this great, amazing marathoner?
Amazing. Well, I'm not sure about amazing, but thank you for that. I did not grow up running. I did some track when I was in high school, but it was short distances, and I thought the people who did cross country and the long distances were just crazy. I never understood that.
Hey, join the group.
So I no, I never really was into running. I loved exercising. Always did hiking and other types of physical activity, but running just wasn't anything I was ever interested in until my late 20s when I watched a documentary on marathon running.
Really? What was the
Yes.
documentary? Who do you
So it was
remember?
Yeah, so it's called The Spirit of a Marathon, and it
Okay.
follows three different people running the Chicago Marathon. So you have a professional runner and then you have, people who've never done it before. And so it was really inspiring to me. I had surgery that year and I was reading a lot of books and watching a lot of TV and documentaries, and that documentary came on, and I was so inspired by that. When my now ex-husband got home from work, I said, I'm gonna run a marathon. And he was like, you're not a runner.
Really? What are you thinking, girl? You just had
Yeah.
surgery.
So that just kind of like really spurred me on even more so to just start running. And I ordered a book that was, from the couch to a marathon and how to go about that. I had no idea. And now years later, I've, worked with running coaches and I've done it the right way. But I just read a book and I thought, you know what? Here we go. Let's see what happens.
I love that. And I want to say that I don't know, well, from myself too, I more or less listen to people's stories because I got into cycling and then got into running. And then it's people's stories that really inspire us. And that's what gets people so moving from being a non this to being an outstanding athlete. Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I would agree with that. The stories that I watched on that documentary, I thought, this woman, it was the everyday woman who had never run before, watching her journey. And I thought, I like to challenge myself. I think I might be able to do this. And my plan was just to run one and done. I was going to do that, check it off the bucket list. But as you know, as a runner, it's a little addictive. So.
So one and done. So how many have you done so far?
So I've done 8 full marathons and I've done
Nice.
22 half marathons.
Nice. So what's your favorite marathon?
Well, I've only done 2 different marathons. My very first marathon was in Phoenix. It was the rock and roll, and it was boring and flat and just a square that you ran around. And I thought, oh, and there were parts of it that didn't have a lot of crowd support. And my second marathon was the New York City Marathon, and it blew me away. And I thought nothing could be better than this. And so I have run the New York City Marathon 7 times because
Oh,
it's
nice.
amazing. And I do want to do another marathon, but there's something about the New York, just the city is amazing. The crowd support's amazing, and I love it. You get to see New York in a way that so many people don't get to see it, running through the city.
I always said that about running or even biking, that you get to see stuff that you don't really see, especially if you're in a car and you're really not paying attention to the surroundings. But that's the best way to see life.
It really is.
Run.
Yes, yes.
Just run through it. Where are you located?
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's a good.
I get to train at altitude, which is great when I go to sea level. So.
Exactly. We have a house in Flagstaff, and that's at 7,000. And so it's pretty fun to come back to Auburn or into the lower Phoenix area and run, and you just feel like the top of your game, and you're
Yeah.
so much faster, and on and on and on. That's pretty cool. So, what's holding you back from taking it to that next level?
Honestly, like doing an ultra marathon, it's probably just time. I think I'm busy. I'm an entrepreneur. I own my own business, and squeezing in the time to train, that's always the most challenging part. I always feel like the marathon is the party, it's the celebration, the reward. It's not the hard part. The hard part's really training. And so I think that's really just what's been holding me back is finding the extra time to
Hmm.
train.
So what's your business?
Well, I own a event production company that has a speaker bureau division. And so I work with professional speakers to book them for conferences. I also do professional speaking myself and host large events that I bring in speakers and inspire people. So it's something I never thought I would be doing, but I love it.
Well, good for you. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So where's your reach out and what kind of speaking opportunities do you offer to people?
So, primarily, what I focus on is professional development. I work with different corporations on incorporating how to be a compassionate leader, leading a team that way. And all the speakers that I work with are they're amazing speakers. They speak about so many different topics. So we have people who focus on AI and how to incorporate that into your business. We have speakers who they talk about resiliency. One of my speakers, he's a police officer here in Denver, and he lost his leg, and he was already back working again a year later, and he talks about how he went about that. So a lot of different stories. So we did start here in Denver, and now we have expanded nationwide, and hopefully soon we'll be international.
Very cool. So I'd love to come talk about mental fitness.
We would love that.
Yeah, that's the field that I'm in, and it's so important these days on how the stress that goes on in the world and how our mindset um, gets so wrapped up into that, and how we can shift that into still being in the peace and calm of life, because that's super important.
Very important. And I know for me, when I started running, it was mindset. And so many people had said to me, I could never run a marathon. I could never do that. And I'm like, well, you could. You really could. And it's your mindset. And I remember the day that I hit 7 miles when I was very first training, and it was all in my mind. If I told myself, you got this, you can keep going, you can do this. But if I started talking to myself in a negative way, that's when I would find myself stopping. And our minds are so, so powerful.
They are so powerful, but we don't give our minds that credit for it, do we?
So true. So
And
true.
that's good having that awareness about that too, because that is a very true statement. And I'm a testament to that, to my 2017 story of the Western States. Is like, yeah, I could either beat myself up that I'm never going to make it, because what we think about is what we manifest,
Mhm.
right? And same with you, is like, I've got this, I can do this. And I came upon, I don't know how many people that said, well, what am I doing out here? What was I thinking? I'm not trained for this, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't make it. I'm like, hey, stay with me, we'll make it, you know?
Yes.
But our mindset is, in any type of running, it's 80% mindset and 20% physical. So
So
that
true.
80% mindset can take you to that 50K, which in my podcast a week before this one being posted, it's only 5 miles longer. Come on.
I know. I've even thought that after I've crossed the finish line at the marathon. I'm like, I could keep going. I
You
think I
can
can
keep
do this.
going.
All
You
right.
should
You're
come down and
motivating me,
run.
Karen.
You should come down and run CIM. Come to California and run the California International Marathon.
That sounds great.
It's a pretty fun one. They've incorporated it, and I think rock and roll probably has gotten better too over time. But yeah, if you're coming from Colorado, flat, really? Flat's good for something, but I'm the same way. I cannot stand flat races. I live in Auburn, or we sometimes are in Flagstaff, and there's nothing but hills.
Yeah.
There's where I live, there's nothing flat, and it's probably the same for you too. Or you're at altitude and you have hills all around you, and it's much more fun in the hills because you have that sense of adventure, and you're using different muscles, and you're doing different things and going different places. So, do you do trails? Do you do the trails in Colorado?
I do, but I have to be very careful because I'm a little clumsy. I remember my first trail run. It was a half marathon. I made it the whole way, and I was, being very, very careful. And I got just right to the end where it was flat. you could see the finish line, and that's when I tripped and fell.
Congratulations. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I do the same thing. And this road we have right here, it's a main road into the neighborhood, but you know how they have the rivets in the side of the road that kind of
Yes.
come up? I was just happily running down that, and I'm always wave to the drivers and whatnot. Bam, I beefed it. And it's like brand new tights again. Now I have a hole in my knee, and it's like all my good CVX sites or CV whatever sites they are, all have a hole in the right knee. So it's like it's just that reminder, pick your feet up.
Right. I know. I
Pick
know.
your feet
So
up.
I think road running, I can just kind of go on autopilot. I don't have to think
Right.
about it as much. But trail running, you really have to pay attention. But I love doing it for training because it works different muscles and,
Right.
you're taking tinier steps. But you have to mentally be focused.
Which is really beneficial. And they're talking a lot about that. And I'm not going to qualify an age at all. But as we do that, it really makes you keep working your mind. Trail running is one of the best things for keeping our minds working. And so, I mean, you have some beautiful trails out there to run. You should ought to go up to uh, Leadville and do the 14ers.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I've done a couple of 14ers. I've never run
Yeah.
up them. I mean, just, hiking is
Yeah.
hard enough.
Well, you got to breathe on them too, right?
Right.
I've been up two of them. I was up Elbert and another one. So I ran the Leadville 100. So I don't think Quote passes at 14, but the ones around there were at 14. So I've been up two of them when we were there.
That's amazing that you've done the Leadville 100. That's awesome. Congratulations.
I have a Leadville Marathon.
They do. I know. I actually, in my running group, someone just ran that. And so she said that I should think about it next year. So
Right.
well, this year now.
Leadville's a beautiful, have you been up there?
I have. It's
Yeah.
beautiful up there. I did
It's
a
a
cycling
beautiful
race up there.
place. All
Mhm.
right. So you do cycle. Well, of
I
course you
do.
do, because you do Ironman.
Well,
Do
I
you?
haven't done one yet. I've done just some Olympic distant triathlons, which are, again, they're very challenging because you're using so many different muscles. And then I
Yeah.
did a century ride here in Denver, and I've done a couple of races up in the mountains that were over some of the passes. So yeah, I
Nice.
just love being outdoors, and Colorado is so great for it. We have so much sunshine. It's fabulous.
Boulder had the best Ironman ever.
I've heard that. I've heard that.
I love that. I don't normally do halves.
Hmm.
There's only two halves I love doing, but now they just took it down to just a half. But their full Ironman, I love that. That was just a really fun race.
I've heard it's a
So
great one.
yeah, but they don't hold it anymore. So the best half Ironmans is Salem, Oregon,
Right?
because my swim was the fastest swim ever in my life. 'Cause I'm a horrible swimmer. My 1.2 is like 45 minutes.
Right?
My 1.2 at Salem was 24 minutes.
Wow.
That's what I said. I'm like, wow.
That's great.
And that set me up for the whole day. I had the best half hour my Ironman I ever had. That tells you how mindset can be so important throughout a whole race.
Really true. It's really
Yeah.
true.
So what's your best race you've done? What's your favorite triathlon?
Well, there was one that was here, that was in Colorado where I live. I'm just south of Denver, and I've never done an open water swim though. So the ones that I've done
Oh,
have always been pool swims, which are actually pretty scary because people can climb over the top of you. But
on the
it
open
was
water swims?
all of them. And that the swimming part, and I was a lifeguard, but I also am not the strongest swimmer in the world. And so that's always been like the worst part for me. So I really do have to focus on, my mindset during that piece. And yeah, I don't know. I think need to sign up for another triathlon this year. I think I need to, I don't know, so many things. You're inspiring me, Karen.
That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. So, and the same thing of being inspired by the books you reads and the documentaries you read too. And so, I know for me, and I'm intrigued with the health of our body, and how it wants to survive. I put my body through back-to-back 100 milers, one weekend and then the next weekend. But I had enough hundreds under me to know what it was like. So it was Javelina 100, and which I knew that race really well because I did it so many times. And then Rio de Lago, which is my back door here. So I know these trails as well. And just see how we can do that, how I would do that. And I was just so blown away of how our body heals and how our body wants to survive. And I've put my body through a lot of stuff. And so and when I was broken, let's see, I've had my fifth metatarsal on my right foot. I've had my ankle on my left foot. And I do remember sitting at races. I mean, by then I'd go, when I was in that situation, I'd go volunteer. I mean, that's the best place to still be involved. And I'd be at 100 and I'd be sitting at the finish line going, oh, I can hardly wait till I can feel like that.
Oh my gosh,
Watching these
that's
people
so
come
true.
in.
I broke my foot running a half marathon at mile 10 and I kept going. I think just endorphins. And, at the end I was like, ugh, I think I broke my foot. But it was right before Thanksgiving when all of the turkey trots. And I always loved just doing those at that time of year, but I couldn't because I broke my foot, but I volunteered at it. And I was the same thing, even though it was a 5K, I'm like, oh, I just wish I was out there with them. But yeah, when you get injured, you can, just sit inside or still get out there and do what you can. And I
Well,
think volunteering is a great way.
and with that, there's so many people who just give up. It's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
broken, I'll break again. So
Yeah.
was it a stress fracture or was
It
it,
was, yes.
yeah.
And that was during a half marathon, probably 10 years ago. And then just a couple of years ago, I was training. I was just, out for a training run. And I tripped, like I told you, I was kind of clumsy, tripped over my own feet. I just wasn't picking them up. And I caught myself with my hands and
Ouch.
yeah, broke my wrist. So
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
yeah, but I continued to run with it. I'm like, I'm not going to let this stop me. So I ran with cast and all. So
Good for you. Well, you know what? Killian Jornet can do it. He breaks his shoulder on UTMB and still put it in a sling and still finish running and won the race.
yeah, yeah.
But it's mindset over yeah, it's mindset over everything. It's 80% mindset and so it's a tool I use. So I'm going to share this with people is the red light therapy.
Mm,
Have you ever heard of that?
I have,
I
yes.
love it. And so I have a link I will post on the channel. This will be on YouTube. So I'll post on my YouTube channel. I'll post a link to the red light therapy I use. And I had sprained my ankle really bad training for the Cocodona last year. And I honestly, I'll have to sit and like meditate on this or figure out what it was about me that I found this red light therapy. But I do believe that when we're out searching for something that's going to be health healing, it'll come into our our lap, and this did. And so I bought the Kainon product, and I've seen bones be stronger. I've seen my ankle go from swelling to nothing to being perfect looking. And I use it now and I was using it twice a day religiously for a few weeks. I was running, I did this the first part of April. I had a grade 2 sprain and I was running by May and kept using the red light therapy. And now I just use it for maintenance for here and there. But I know it strengthened some bones in my feet and the ankle. So it was my right ankle. It was looked like bigger than a tennis ball.
I've heard of it. I haven't heard like testimony like that. So that's great to know because I've been reluctant on whether or not to try it out. So that's good to know that it's been successful for you.
Yeah, and I'll post it in the chat after we're done so you can check it out.
Great.
But it that and the body's going to keep moving, and you are proof of that too because you had the pain, and the pain of a broken bone is painful.
Yeah, it is.
And to be at mile 10
Mhm.
on a marathon or a half marathon?
It was a half marathon. Yeah.
Okay, but still, I mean, that's 3 more miles on that. It's painful, but can you recall back of how your body responded to that? Because your body will go into this survival mode
Mhm.
and you can get through it. It's going to get you through all that. And the pain probably subsided to some point to get you finished on that. Did you run or did you walk the rest of the next
I
few
ran.
miles?
No, I remember I knew when it happened. It was on a road that had old pavers on it, like a really old road. And I just felt when it happened, I thought it might have been a sprain, and I just kept running. And yes, again, like the endorphins in your body, and again, my mindset, I was like, no, you're not going to stop. And then as soon as I crossed the finish line and stopped running, and then I stepped on it, just normal pressure, that's when I was like, oh.
Ouch.
Yes, so I knew it was broken at that
Yeah, I
point.
did. I did. I was doing a 100-mile race. So the year I did finished Leadville, next month I went and ran Wasatch, and it was my first year of doing the Grand Slam. And 10 miles into the race, I stepped on they had this trail that was falling apart, and I stepped in a hole, and the trail collapsed, and I sprained my ankle really bad.
Mhm.
I don't remember if I heard a snap. I don't think I did, but I knew it hurt really, really, really bad. And the
Mhm.
guy that was running with me, my friend Ernie Floyd, came back and he was going to finish his 10th and I was going to finish my Grand Slam, and we were helping each other go through this. And sorry about the cat, but the cat's a part of the podcast. They're my CEOs.
I love it.
But he comes back and he's like, Karen, you just sprained it. You're the toughest person I ever know. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it really, 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 really hurts. And
Yeah.
so he helped me. We had to climb up to the top of this trail, and it was big rocks. It was unstable. And I'm just holding on to him, and I'm back there crying in my heart. And he's like, you're so tough. But I can remember getting to that point and then being there and telling him to leave. And I said, I'll just hobble down. I found this way to not hurt and get down the mountain by myself. I
Mhm.
didn't have to. Somebody came and picked me up out of a struggle, but it was really weird how the body it will do whatever it takes to get to that point of healing, right? And so I know I wasn't feeling anything, but then after that, this guy came up with on his M Forerunner or that off trail stuff they ride with his daughters, and he's like, are you okay?" And I start crying. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I think the aid station's just down the road." He goes, "I know it is. Get in the back. I'm going to take you down." And I argued with him because I didn't want to ruin his day. And so I get in, and it's like, oh my gosh, that felt so good on my ankle. And then the foot was purple, the ankle was big, the whole thing was big. And I fractured that bone on the outside of my left ankle and then had a high ankle sprain. But the doctor goes, good news, nothing good about this. I didn't tear anything,
Yeah.
tendons. I guess that was the good news.
No surgery or anything, so
No,
that's good. That's
no.
good.
But yeah, I will post the red light therapy. I'm going to post it in the YouTube show notes, but I'm going to also give it to you when when we're done with this podcast. I'll post it in our chat. There's a lot of white papers on it, and I swear by it and it's a good quality light. So it's on the frequency, and it's all about healing. So I'm all about that self-healing and that mind-body connection and all that.
Yes. Yes, I am as well.
So
I
what do you speak on? What is your topic that you speak on?
Well, when I very first started speaking, well, I spoke in corporate world when I was in corporate, but speaking for my own personal business was when I was promoting my book. I published a book in 2021, and it was titled "Create Your Own Life Recipe After Divorce." My name is Jasmine Rice, and if you aren't familiar, that's a type of rice. And so I really wanted to play
That's
on the
true.
I wanted to play on kind of the food theme, so the recipe, and I really believe that. So when I was going through my divorce, running was my therapy. I did have also a therapist that I worked with, but running was what saved me. It was just so healing for me to be able to put on my shoes and just go out the door. And I might be crying when I was running, but I just by the end of it, I felt healed. And so running was very, very important for me. And my book is really about just creating a new chapter of your life after you've gone through a challenge. It doesn't have to be a divorce. It could be, being laid off from your job. It could be a large move. It could be, an empty nester now. Just it's creating that own recipe for yourself. And so when
Yeah,
I started speaking, it was to promote the book, and it really led into different types of presentation, and one of them that's my most popular is leaning into fear, because we're so scared to just take that leap. Sometimes we're pushed to have to take that, but really leaning into that, because I believe that growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. I believe that growth really happens when you get out of your comfort zone and push
e-
yourself. And
exactly.
that's the same with a marathon, or running for a marathon, or even for someone who wants to do that 5K. It's if you're not a runner, it's not comfortable at first. You have to be willing to push yourself a little bit harder, get a little uncomfortable, and then it gets more comfortable. So that's
Exactly.
pretty much what I talk about.
That's awesome. I'm going to throw this out in the podcast too. I am having a summit on April 2nd. Would you like to come speak on it?
Oh,
If
I would
that's
love
in your
that.
calendar, yeah.
Yes.
So you guys, I'll post that my summit in the show notes. So, oh, Jasmine, I thank you for sharing your book. Thank you for sharing the information on your book. And I'm supposed to be writing a book. I don't have that writer drive inside of me, but I have the stories, and it'll be my 100-mile journey to the 250 miles and how the mindset works on that. And it is all about stepping out of comfort and
Yes.
stepping into challenges. And sometimes we don't know that we're stepping out of comfort, and that happens in a divorce. It happens in a change in life. It happens when your kids leave you, like my kids did. How dare them? But, but I say that lovingly because I love my relationship with them now. But it's still stepping out of that comfort, because we can be so comfortable and we cannot challenge ourselves. We don't grow. You
So
don't
true.
grow spiritually, you don't grow physically, you don't grow in intellectually, relations, emotionally.
Mhm.
And we aren't meant to be comfortable.
Yeah.
We're meant to take that next step to, oh my gosh, a 50K, Jasmine.
All right, Karen, okay.
You have it in you, girl.
I know, I know, I know. I've been in my own way. So it's my mindset. So
Exactly. It's that comfort zone. It's getting out away from the fear of what is that 50K? What is 5 more miles? You can do 5 miles. I remember it was my first or second marathon. Was it my first marathon? Second marathon, I think I qualified for Boston, but there was these guys I met. It was CIM. I run that most of the time because it's right at my back door here. And there was this group of guys that came upon. They were just laughing and having fun, good energy, you know. They were just having a good old time. So I hung out with them, and they said they're going to have more people meet them at the halfway mark. And one guy came out, and he lived in my neighborhood. I lived down in the Pocket area at the time. He had on shoes that weren't tied. He had on baggy sweatpants. He was not looking like a runner. And he's like, "Oh, we can run this. You can run a 5K, 10K in your neighborhood, right?" And he's making me run faster and faster. And I'm back there just like holding on. Well, he qualified me for Boston.
it's amazing.
But it's people inspiring people. You're inspiring somebody else to get out there and run a marathon. You're inspiring people with your book to get out there and do something different. Step out of your fear. Be in that growth mindset. And some growth is not going from a 3-year-old to an adult. It's not that physical growth. It's that internal growth. It's
Yes,
our
I think I did
internal.
more growth in the year I was 40 than from, 5 to 40. A lot of growth happened that year for sure.
You wait, girl. There's more growth to happen.
I'm ready.
What words of advice are you going to leave with our listeners, Jasmine?
Oh, wow. Words of advice. I would just say, honestly, I know this is a little cliche, but it's like, you got this. I really believe that. That's one of the taglines that I use in my business. And I think if you tell yourself that, you have positive affirmations, and, if you start to have that doubt creep in, it's like, you got this. You really do.
Exactly. And that can apply to any part of your life.
Yes.
Any part of your life. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it. I'll give you the information for my summit.
Great. I'm looking forward to it, Karen.